Well, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
So we are back out at the barn as usual.
Yeah, you see we got some siding sitting here ready to go.
And yeah, we're just gonna try and finish up this back side of the barn.
It's going to be the same process as the front. We're going to start at that really tall part of the peak of the roof, and that's going to be the only complicated cut. So I think what we're going to do is rip this sheet down to 16 inches so it can be between each batten. And then we'll do all of our complicated measurements and cuts on that piece, and then from there we can just continue and work it from left to right all the way down to the bottom. So should go relatively smooth. We don't have anything hard to cut out, lights or garage doors
he says
or
that,
anything.
and every time he says that,
You gotta be optimistic.
I am the optimistic one.
So we're ready. We got the compressor plugged in, and everything's ready to go. We got nails, and riders having fun, running around, goofing off. It's gonna be a beautiful day today. So
yeah,
let's do it.
All right.
Cool.
All of that came out of Levi's tool belt.
Man, I wish my tool belt was this light all the time.
This is hilarious. I don't know. Do you need 4 pencils and a pen?
You never can have too much. 3 5/8. All right, first one's cut. We just gotta paint our cut edges and put it up there. Just about time for a new sponge. Yes! Good boy! Mom, thanks.
Yeah. Good boy. Are you the best frisbee dog? Yeah.
How you doing on your bottom?
Looks good.
Just need to go in just slightly at the top.
All right. First piece of the day is up. We're gonna just continue on. Levi will measure, do our angles for the roof line, and just continue on down, and hopefully I think we'll be able to get it done today. How are you on your line? I just want to know, does mine look good, or do you want it more forward?
No, it looks perfect.
You got it?
Yep.
So nice when the sun comes out. Okay, this thing's not even worth using. The only problem is definitely harder when it's a whole sheet.
Yeah.
My short arms. Careful. You got it?
I don't.
To do whole sheets, you. A lot of measurements up there.
Go ahead and cut that and throw it up to me.
That's funny.
All right. Let's make a drawing. Okay. 30 and 11. Okay. Take this broken level and use it as a straight edge. That's all it's good for. So we're gonna go 2 5/8. And this is the same.
So question. Remember how you said you wanted the siding to go down a little bit? Did you account for that?
The siding to go down.
Yeah, you wanted it to go down a little bit so that it,
See that red line?
yeah.
That's, so I measured 2 3/8
Okay, so that's,
from our board, which is that red line. So that's why we would pop that line to know where this top sheeting is going to stop.
okay,
And then we dropped that board down a little bit to give us our space
okay.
for the next set of sheeting. So we kind of started at the bottom, but we worked our way down from that red line, which is to the top of our little board right there, which is this right here.
So that's where the red line technically is.
Yep, so this is popped through, so then we're going to keep this and have it come down and cover that hole up.
Okay.
And then we'll just continue down just enough for the doors to open. And then we'll
So
be able
we'll-
to tuck like a piece of wood up in
Yeah, I
there
was
or
to say,
something
because
later.
otherwise we need to cut that.
Mhm.
How's that?
Tuck that little piece of wood up in there. We'll take some of the soffit material, rip it down on the table saw, trim nail it up there. So now I have to measure off of this.
Well, as per usual, the weather has changed. It wasn't supposed to rain or sleet, snow, whatever this is. So we're gonna go run some errands and call it for today, and we'll come back out tomorrow. It's supposed to be a lot nicer tomorrow, right?
Let's hope. Oh my gosh, it wasn't like the 10-day forecast, no rain at all.
Well, this
today.
isn't technically rain.
That's true, I guess it's not raining.
So
But it's 46 degrees.
yeah, look at
And it's
this.
snowing like crazy. Hey, what's going on, guys? Well, today the weather looks promising. We have this sheet that we finished up with yesterday. It's all pre-cut, ready to go up. We just grabbed some new paint and we'll paint up all of our cuts and throw it up. So it should go pretty good. Looks great. All right, let's test fit it.
Ooh, that looks good.
A little bit of caulk and paint. Like what a carpenter ain't.
It's been a long time since I've had peanut butter and honey.
Mm.
How's the peanut butter to honey ratio?
A little late.
Needs more honey?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I know you're sick of carrots, but I'm not.
I'm turning orange.
No. No. In high school, there was a girl. Her skin was orange because she ate carrots too much.
What?
Yeah. That was only like 100 years ago.
Because you're 100 and...
Shh. What's your favorite sky?
Mm-hmm. So we have that piece there.
Mm-hmm.
That's like this big.
We're not even going to need to cut into a piece, are we?
I think I can use those 2 scrap pieces for the ends.
So that means 3 whole pieces left over.
Almost. We should get it done today. This side.
It's already 1 o'clock. What you got there?
This is the last piece on the back of the barn.
And then all we have is
Battens.
on this side. But then for
Yep.
siding,
Yeah, and then all we gotta do is once we get our roof on, the small roof, we can run all those windows, all the siding around the windows, and then we'll be completely done, which feels really good.
yes it does. And I'm sure the rest of you will be glad when we're done with the siding. Maybe as much as we will.
All right, so we're gonna start our battens, and we had them all laid out, and you can kind of see I have an X and a line, and that is where the battens go. And then we broke our seams in our plywood siding like in between that, so the battens are 1.5 inches wide. So we tried to make that seam about 3/4 of a way in, so like somewhere in the middle. And then just the way I'm doing it is I'm just gonna level these up. If you were gonna do a really big wall, you could easily just mark 16s and cut yourself a board to go in between those, and then just use that as like a spacer in between and just plumb the first one up and then just roll the whole wall out real fast. But because we have all these angles because of the roof, we're just going to measure each one. It just makes it way easier. And so I'm going to go ahead and just mark out this whole wall, and then I'll shoot measurements to Tanya. She'll cut them and throw them up to me, and we'll get this wall done in 20 minutes.
That's funny. I will not be cutting them.
$56 and 3/16.
56 3/16.
49 and a half.
49 and a half. I have managed to not get more than just like one speck of paint on my head. What you doing? Alright guys, so we've had a couple of questions of whether or not we've picked a color for the door, if we've painted it yet. So we were out yesterday and I picked up some little swatches of paint and I'd like your guys' opinion. So I took the colors you guys suggested and then I picked ones kind of within that range, and then we've got the final ones here. We're just gonna narrow it down. So this will be for this door here. Remember, the barn will be black, and that is the actual color of the barn. So it's kind of hard to visualize with the white behind it, but like if I was to hold it here, what do you guys think? So Levi, can you get close and go down the names of the colors? So we have Yam, Fermata, Cold Pressed, Capers, Puddle Jumper, September Sea, and Midnight Teal. Let us know what you guys think. Last two battens on the upper part of the back of the barn. And then we are going to relax for the rest of the day. Enjoy it. It's so beautiful.
It turned out really nice.
It did.
Wow.
Looks really nice.
Looks really good. A lot of caulking we still have to do, and then painting. Gotta determine whether we're gonna hand paint this and just spray the doors, or if we're just gonna.
You mean the shipping containers?
Yeah,
Spray
these doors.
Oh yeah.
We can't hand paint that. We'll definitely spray them. And then we have to determine. I don't know what you guys think, but we were thinking about cutting this extra arm off here. These arms are really just for like traveling at sea, so it kind of just secures it extra. But you really don't need to have this second one for us. I mean, we're not going to be traveling on the ocean with these, so.
These are staying right here forever.
Let's hope there's no water up here. But I mean, like, really, it's just a pain in the butt to try to open both of these at the same time. So we were thinking about cutting them off, but we'll figure that out.
We still are not sure if we're gonna utilize this. Now I keep thinking that if we get an elk or a deer, it would be easier to bring it in.
Drive the side-by-side right up here, unload it. It might be easier to have it.
You're dreaming of a side-by-side that we don't own.
Side-by-side that we don't own, that we soon will.
I don't know. Have any of you guys had shipping container buildings and like removed one of these, or I don't know. Let us know what you think, because we're up for suggestions.
The only downside is that we need to insulate these doors and still have them work, you know, operate and open. So that's where the trick, you know, the tricky part.
I know. It was up there. See, I told you the spiders do come after me. Oh. So we were gonna stop, and we decided we might as well just go ahead and get that bottom section just done and over with, and then all the battens on this back of the barn will be done. And then again, we just have to tackle the wall on the small roof, but we can't do that until we can get up there and put the roofing on. So I guess we'll jump back on doing the battens. Alright, and then 3/16 next. Alright, we're officially done for the day now.
That's it. We got all the battens. The whole back of the barn is sided.
Well, except for that one. Just the one.
Yeah, just the one. And the reason why is because we have to do the window wall first, and then we could wrap that corner around, and then we can finish that last little batten, because I wanted to line up with the trim for that corner. But other than that,
yeah,
we are totally done.
We're gonna go make some dinner and have a beer.
Have a beer. Oh, I'm looking so forward to dinner.
Well, hey guys, good evening.
Good evening.
After working outside all day today, we are gonna share with you one of our favorite meals that I make.
Oh, it is by far our favorite dinner to make.
So I'm making butter chicken and homemade naan. So I'm gonna show you guys that process condensed.
Yeah, it's an extensive process. You got to make stuff ahead of time.
I already started earlier today,
yeah.
Getting the chicken marinating. So I'll talk to you a little bit about that in a little bit, but we're gonna.
But to pair with that, we're gonna have one of our favorite beers. This is a beer from Michigan, Two Hearted. Anybody who's from there is gonna know.
Yeah.
And we'll start it off with this, and then jump into making some dinner. Cheers. Good job today. Good tan man.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And we're gonna put it in our special koozies.
You know who you are.
All right, so I'm gonna start by making the naan, because it needs to rise for an hour. So what I do is I start with some water. I have this warmed up with my tea kettle. It's a half a cup of water. It's very hot right now, so we'll have to let it cool, but so half a cup. And then honey. I use our honey that's crystallized for this recipe. You can use whatever kind of sweetener you like. I'll link the recipe down below, and I do not measure this. We like our naan a little bit more sweet. Oops. So I do a little extra in there. And then because this water is so hot, I am just going to go ahead and melt the honey, dissolve it. Okay, so while we're waiting for our water to cool a little bit, I'm gonna measure out our Greek yogurt, and I'm just using a plain Greek yogurt. I think the recipe just actually calls for just plain yogurt. I'm gonna measure out, ooh, that's thick, a half a cup of this Greek yogurt. My yeast is a little bit old. I've had it for, don't laugh, probably 4 years. I keep it in the fridge and it still works. I just give it a stir, and I do use a little bit more than what the recipe calls for. I think the recipe calls for 2 1/4 teaspoons. I use about a whole tablespoon, which is not a whole lot more than what the recipe calls for. So I'm just gonna have that right there, hopefully not spill it. And I just check the temperature of my honey and water mixture to see what the temp is. It is 117 right now, so we're gonna give it just a little bit longer. Our water has cooled down to about 110, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the yeast in there now. And I'm just gonna stir it up and give it a little bit of time and activate the yeast. And when we get to that point, we will start making the naan. All right, so now that our yeast has started to foam up, I'm gonna add, oh, I actually usually add the yogurt in next. I'm one of those people who can't handle wasting, so I'm gonna scrape as much off as I can. All right, and then I think it's a 1/2 cup of salt, or 1/2 teaspoon. You can use more or less, whatever you like. Okay. And then 2 1/4 cups of flour. And obviously, I kind of just eyeball it. So once I mix this all up, we are going to knead it for about 10 minutes until it kind of forms a nice ball and becomes smooth. So I'll show you that when we get to the end. All right, so as you can see, it looks pretty smooth. It's not sticking to my hands at all. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put it back in the bowl that I originally mixed it in. Come in closer. I'm gonna just put it back in the bowl that I originally mixed it in, right there in the center. I'm gonna grab some plastic wrap. And I'm gonna just kind of lightly cover it, put it in a nice warm place for about an hour, and we'll check back in with you guys then. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how I make rice. I know there's nothing super special about making rice, but
oh yes there is.
This is how I grew up eating rice. My mom made it this way all the time, and now my kids make it this way, and I thought I'd share it with you. Again, nothing super special. I have my pot here. I'm gonna turn it on relatively high. I'm gonna take some coconut oil. I'm using coconut oil this time because we're doing Indian food and I think the flavor will pair nicely. But generally I use olive oil. And then the secret is onions. I'm using sweet onions because that's what I have. So, oh, this is smoking. All right. And I think I'm gonna use it all. So this is about, I don't know, 1 medium onion, maybe. So all I'm doing is I'm gonna kind of just sweat these out and maybe get a little bit of a brown on them, and I'll show you that when I go to put the rice in. All right, so hopefully you can see I'm starting to get like a little bit of color on these onions. It's been about 3 minutes and I'm gonna let them go just a little bit longer. But what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. And you don't have to do this. I like adding salt to my rice. Not very much, maybe a half of a teaspoon. All right, now I'm gonna grab my rice, and I am using jasmine rice because that's what we have. And I am going to make, I don't know, we like to have leftover rice, but I think that's probably all I can fit in this pot. So I have 2 cups of rice, and I'm just gonna give that a little bit of a stir to coat all the grains of rice. All right, so they're all coated. All right, I'm gonna add my water. All right. And then I'm gonna stir it one last time. All right, now what I'm gonna do is kind of bring it back up to a boil, then turn my temp all the way down to the lowest setting that my stove allows, cover it, and set the kitchen timer for 14 minutes. All right, I'm gonna turn the pot off and open the lid. And it looks good. I'm gonna give it a stir. Looks like perfectly cooked rice. I would normally use my other pot, but that's what I will be using to make the butter chicken. So there's a little bit of sticking at the bottom, but other than that, it is perfectly cooked. So we will set this aside and get started on the butter chicken. Okay, so here we have our chicken. Earlier I chopped it up. I used chicken breast and chicken thighs. We like the combination. And I added Greek yogurt, garlic, cumin, turmeric, chili powder, garam masala, and some salt. So we are going to just cook this in batches in some coconut oil on the stove. So I'm just going to separate the chicken so it doesn't cook unevenly. Add a little more in there. Alright, so now that I got a little browning on the one side that's down, I'm going to flip it, brown the other side, and I will continue to do that for the rest of the chicken. All right, so now that all of our chicken has been browned, I am going to start making the actual sauce for the butter chicken. So I'm going to add a little more of the coconut oil to the pan. And we are doing a double batch. So my quantities are going to seem a little bit bigger than probably what you would use. We love leftovers, especially when we're working long days on the barn. All right. And then to the oil, I'm going to add onion. I'm using sweet onion, again, because that's what I have, but the recipe calls for yellow onion. So I'm going to try and get up all these little crunchy bits off the bottom of the pan. It'll add extra flavor. And we are going to get the rest of the ingredients ready to go into the sauce. All right, now I'm going to add the garlic, and we love lots and lots of garlic. Give this a stir. We don't want to let the garlic burn because we all know that that just doesn't taste good. And I've spent a lot of time scraping up all those yummy bits at the bottom. And now what we're going to do is add our seasonings. And then we need to give that a good stir. This really like brings those aromatics to life. It's almost like kind of toasting them. And again, I wish you could smell it in here. The recipe calls for crushed tomatoes. We have diced tomatoes, but we are going to go ahead and use what we have. Give that a stir. And then we are also going to add some chili powder. And we like a spicy butter chicken. We like spicy everything, so we always add a little extra. But again, do what you like, follow the recipe precisely, whatever it is. Honestly, I feel like you cannot mess this recipe up at all. All right, so we are going to continue to cook this for a little while. Recipe says about 12 to 15 minutes. I might add a little water to this just to kind of be able to let it simmer a little longer to meld all those flavors together. I'm going to put the lid on it and then we'll work on the next part when it's ready to go.
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
You got this crazy, scary device.
All right, so the recipe calls to put this in a blender. We do not have a blender in the RV. This is still very hot, so I'm going to be very careful, and you should too if you decide to do it this way. Even if you do it in a blender, you should be very, very careful. And we're just going to blend this. If you want it to be super smooth, you can. It's to your preference. So I'm just going to continue doing this and we'll pick up in just a second. All right, so we have it blended. It's not like super smooth. There's a little bit of texture in it, and that's how we like it. But again, do what you like. Next, we're going to add the coconut milk. Again, I'm doubling this recipe, so I'm using the whole can, but the recipe calls for 1 cup. It also calls for sugar at this time, and I actually wait until I have everything mixed together, and then I taste it, and I decide whether or not I need any sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and add the coconut milk. All right, I'm going to give this a stir. Once this is all mixed in, we're going to go ahead and add our chicken back in. And again, this is a double batch, so it looks like a whole lot of food, but we love leftovers. So I'll try not to make a giant mess. Make sure to add all those juices in there as well. Lots of flavor. And all these bits of garlic. All right, we're gonna let this simmer for about 10 minutes uncovered, and we'll catch back up with you then. All right, guys, so I just tasted the sauce for the butter chicken, and we feel that it needs some spiciness. So I was gonna add cayenne pepper, and Levi said, no, let's add da bomb. So this is da bomb, and this is a hot sauce that is common. Actually, it's used in every one of the hot wing challenge. And I'm telling you, this thing is insane. On the bottle, it says, warning, this sauce is extremely hot. Keep out of reach of children. Consume 1 drop at a time with extreme caution.
That's no joke. One drop.
That is not a joke. So I'm probably going to add about, I don't know, 5 drops to this pot of
This
butter
whole pot,
chicken.
which, you see how big that pot is.
When we did our hot wing challenge with our son Jake, I went through a crazy panic attack after putting this in my mouth. So
No, I'm serious. This is no joke. The hottest hot sauce you will ever put in your mouth.
It's insane.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to let this simmer away, and we'll taste it in just a little bit and see if the spice is good enough.
All right, let's test the bomb. Perfect. It's perfect. The bomb is the perfect add to any dish you would ever want to be spicy. Just 1 drop is all you need. We put in 10, but
It was like 5. Come on.
5. We put in 5. It'll be great.
Okay. So here's our naan dough. It is definitely doubled in size. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try my best to cut it into 8 equal parts. So then I grab my portion. I put a little bit of flour on my cutting board. And I kind of just lightly coat it. And then I kind of make it into a relatively round circle. Listen, if you've ever bought naan, it's never a perfectly round circle. So whatever it looks like, go with it. Like, it's gonna taste the same no matter what it looks like. So Levi is getting the pan hot.
You don't want too much coconut oil.
Or oil.
Or
In
any
general.
oil. A lot of times we use olive oil, but we're using coconut oil tonight. And you basically just want to have a nice little spot on there. And then throw your naan in. And then you're going to cook this for about 3 or 4 minutes on each side. But it just depends on the heat of your pan. So you basically just want to brown both sides. You'll start to see some bubbling happen as it starts to cook. Flip it over, and when it looks like, you know, good naan, take it out. All right, as you can see, it has some bubbles forming, and that's a telltale sign that it's about ready. So you just do a little check. Looks perfect. Flip it over. Let it go for another 1 or 2 minutes, and then we'll start with the next one.
All right. Well, dinner is served. It is not a short
If you can look.
process, but in our minds, totally worth it. We did throw a little cilantro on at the end. I know cilantro is a little bit controversial, but we love it. So let's try it. It's good.
The perfect amount of spice.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Let's try the naan.
Oh. It's such an easy recipe too. Any of you guys can do this.
And another reason why I like to make the butter chicken a little bit on the saucier side is it gives you something to soak up
Exactly.
with the naan. So
It's so good.
we're gonna enjoy our meal and the rest of the evening, so we'll see you guys later.
Thank you guys.
Yep. It's good.